hotels are like the #1 thing that I want in The Sims 4 right now, and Adventure Awaits kinda works for that. It's probably the closest we'll ever get to hotels, and in some ways it's actually better than hotels because it's actually more customizable than what I was picturing. Kind of what I want out of a hotel pack is something a little bit more like dine out. And I know that sounds kind of scary, but I just am picturing myself owning and running a hotel. I just never really envisioned this whole custom venue thing with a schedule. I'm thinking something more similar to the Sims 3 Island Paradise hotels, but I'm not mad about this. I like this, and I think that I want to try to use it to build a hotel today. I'm gonna build it up here on the 64 by 64 lot, Hothead Rock Hideaway, and it's gonna be kind of like a glamping resort. I'm picturing some kind of big main building, a bunch of cabins, there'll be some big pools, maybe a bunch of hot tubs, and then we'll set it as a custom venue and we'll configure a whole custom schedule preset for it. And this is kind of what I'm thinking. So I've got 8 guests, I've got 3 staff members that will like clean and help prepare objects. I added a chef that's in charge of serving meals. I made a bartender that will work at the bar for us. And I also have an entertainer. So they'll like tell jokes, they'll sing, they'll play the piano and stuff. And then during the day, everybody's gonna wake up at 6 a.m. and have breakfast together. At 9 a.m. they'll start doing water activities. So they'll like go swimming, they'll use the diving boards. Then at 3 p.m. they hang out by the bar, they'll listen to music. At 6 p.m. we have dinner. And then at 9 p.m. they hang out by the fire. And there's a little bit of wiggle room with this. I have play tested it a little bit, but this is kind of what I was picturing. Oh, this is a spoiler. But this is kind of what I was picturing when I was imagining what would happen at these hotels. Just to address a couple of concerns that always come up when I build these custom venues. Yes, there is no lunchtime. Your Sims don't really need to have 3 meals in a day, and also all of the time slots have to be at least 3 hours long. So we'd have like 6 a.m. breakfast, 9 a.m. water activities, and then noon they would have lunch. And it really limits the amount of time they can go swimming and stuff. So I decided to not serve lunch here. If you were playing in it, you could totally change it and add one in. I just wanted to have more time of them spent outside swimming and less time sat inside the building at a table eating. And a quick disclaimer, I actually built this during early access to Adventure Awaits. So I made this on the version of the game that has no gallery access and that super annoying watermark on the screen. It's made a little bit more annoying in the speed build because it goes around the screen a little bit quicker, but it is small, so hopefully it's not too distracting to you. And I've already kind of spoiled it, so let's just jump into the speed build now and I'll kind of start walking you through what we've built. The first thing that I did was just try and place some random squares down so I could kind of visualize the scale of everything. I knew that I wanted to have cabins. I wanted to have 8 separate cabins, and I kind of wanted them to line the 2 sides of the lot, but I needed to do a little bit of experimenting about how I wanted those cabins to look, because I've built quite a few things with Adventure Awaits now, but I've used a lot of the cabin-y wallpapers and like the wood and everything all over the place. What I hadn't yet used was the canvas wallpaper and like the tent sort of style. And I had been looking at these pictures of real life glamping places where they have these really big fancy tents, and it kind of looks like this. Just imagine it's a little bit flowier, because in The Sims 4 everything's quite rigid and straight. But the glamping tents that I was looking at kind of looked like this, where they had like lots of fabric dangling. They kind of had this like balcony thing almost going on. All the walls are obviously canvas. And those windows that I'm using are actually kind of like plastic windows. There's a few different windows in the pack. These ones are meant to match the canvas wallpaper. So it's got like a canvas trim and then like a sheet of plastic on the inside as the opening. So I was kind of trying to do that when I was starting this build. You might see me pop up a couple reference photos throughout this video because I was streaming this. So I kept trying to show my chat being like, you guys, I swear it's not that weird. I promise it's something that exists in real life. So that's kind of what I was going for. And then we're gonna have them kind of like match each other, alternating. We also have a bathroom attached to them. I think maybe in real life, they might not actually have a bathroom in them. It kind of depends where you are and like what kind of place you're at. With this, I wanted to have a bathroom in each of the cabins because for me, I am not staying at a hotel if I don't have my own bathroom. Like, I would go anywhere else first before I came to this place if they didn't have their own bathrooms. I think if I was trying to build like a campground kind of vibe, it would make sense to have like a big shared bathroom, but because this is fancy, it's like luxury camping, it's glamping, they all have an attached bathroom. Every single one of these cabins has a double bed in it, so technically I guess you could sleep 16 Sims. Realistically though, with how the custom venues and the getaways work, one Sim's gonna sleep per bed. And then there's also gonna be some staff housing on the inside of the main building. So in that way back space, it looks just like a rectangle right now. Eventually it's gonna have like a kitchen and living space and a lobby. Upstairs, there's some more rooms for the staff to sleep in because you wanna have enough beds for everybody who's a part of the getaway. It's kind of confusing because I feel like when we think about a place like this, you might imagine that the staff would like go home and they would spend the night at home and then come back to work the next day. But that's not really how the getaways work because there is no such thing as staff in this, right? Like there's just different roles at the getaway and you're sort of pretending that one of them is staff, but really they're just a person whose activity is to clean. The game sees them the exact same way as the guest whose activity is to swim. Like it's just, you know, a different custom rule for them. There isn't like a staff separation. You're kind of just pretending that there is. And because of that, you can't really designate like special areas as being staff only. You can't lock the doors really, or like set up different parts of the lot to be for different roles. So that's a little bit annoying too. But again, it just takes some playing pretend. Pretty much everything about Adventure Awaits involves you playing pretend just a little bit. It's made a lot more fun when you just embrace it and you try and tell the story yourself in your head. But anyway, a couple other little important things to note about this build. It's actually only Adventure Awaits and the base game. I built this obviously during early access when I didn't have the other packs, and I think that's a good thing. There were definitely moments where I was like, oh, I wish I could have a spa, or like, I wish I could put a sauna on this lot. So I was kind of sad that I didn't have access to the massage tables or like yoga mats and things like that. But actually, I'm really glad that it is only base game and Adventure Awaits because at the end of the day, I think it's nice to really test out if you can make a hotel with Adventure Awaits. And obviously I did. So you can do it with no other packs. I filled this entire 64 by 64 lot with no other packs, and I think it turned out really nice. It's just there's always going to be stuff from other packs that would also be nice to add in, right? Also, weirdly, in this early access version of the game, I don't have any of my rewards event items, so I thought about trying to use the buffet table that we got in the rewards event last year around Christmas time, and I couldn't use it because I didn't have it in this version of the game. So if I were you and I was going to play on this lot, I might recommend that you add in the buffet table just so you have some extra access to food. Although food is not really an issue when you play in these custom venues, especially if you've got like a preset chef sim whose activity is to cook, because they will cook. They will just keep cooking. There's gonna be plenty of food for you in the whole place. In fact, all of the counters will be completely full of food when you play here. And that's also nice. I think that's kind of realistic too. It's sort of giving like all-inclusive resort with plenty of food for your Sims to eat. Right now, I'm just kind of trying to figure out the lobby. I knew that I wanted to have a front desk sort of thing. There isn't really a need for a front desk in this. Nobody like checks into the hotel. And that's one of the things that I am sad about and doesn't really feel like a hotel to me. Because what I want out of a hotel pack is for your sim to show up on a lot and like go to the front desk, check in, be assigned a room. It like automatically locks for just me. And that's not really how Adventure Awaits works. You can technically assign a room to yourself, but if you do that, the other Sims in your household can't use it either. So it doesn't really work. You can't do like a couples thing and have that like room be assigned to your household. It's just different from what I was expecting out of a hotel pack. So anyway, I still want hotels. I still want like true hotels. This appeases me for now, but it's not really what I was looking for. But anyway, over here in this lobby area to the left, there's gonna be a dining room and a kitchen, plus an extra bathroom. And then on the right side, we're gonna have a gym and an extra bathroom with some showers. The whole middle section is kind of just lobby. So I put like a fireplace and some seating and things like that in there. Kind of just like a place where you can hang out is sort of the vibe that I was going for. There were some people when I was streaming this that were kind of annoyed that I had put a shower in the bathroom by the gym. And I guess I can see that it would be weird to have a shower in like the hotel lobby, but I really wanted to have one that was easily accessible right there, especially because there is the gym right there. And really, when you think about it, the other showers that are in the hotel rooms are really far away. This is a 64 by 64 lot, so if you wanted to shower after you went to the pool or anything, you kind of have to go all the way across the world to get to it. So we have a shower inside of that gym area too. And now we're kind of starting to lay out all of the pathways on the outside of the lot. This is a little bit weird, so you're gonna have to just trust the process with me for a second. I tried to really layer the place up a little bit. So what I've done is I've got like a sort of ring walkway around the whole outside, and then we have a deck in the middle with the pool on top of it. And then I'm trying to make a sunken pool bar right in front of it. So it kind of like cuts into the pool a little bit. Back in The Sims 3, back in my day, The Sims 3 had actual pool bars, like a bar object that would slot onto the pool, and your Sims could go and sit in the water on a bar stool in the water. And you can't do that in The Sims 4, it's not possible. But I was kind of trying to channel that energy a little bit. So I put those 2 bars right there, and it's kind of like a focal point for this pool area. And in my mind, this is more of the loungy type of pool. So we're gonna have lounge chairs around it. There's gonna be a hot tub nearby it. And then in the back right corner, we're gonna have more of like a fitness type of pool. So there's actually 2 pools on this lot. And the fitness pool you access by going through a door from the gym. And that's where the diving boards are gonna be. So do you need to have 2 pools? Probably not. But I really wanted to because I liked the vibes of that. I thought it looked kind of nice. And it also fills in the lot really well because it is so big. I was like really trying to come up with ideas of things that would just take up space, you know? So 2 pools it is. Pools are very big and very effective. And then that's sort of the whole size of that loungy pool deck section. And then in the front of it, we're gonna have sort of like an outdoor stage, outdoor hangout type of area as well, which we'll add in a little bit. So I basically just kind of split this big grassy section in the middle in half and then put a bunch of recreational activities in it. When you get this build off the gallery, by default, it has that schedule that I showed you in the beginning. What I have noticed from playtesting a little bit more, and what I might suggest that you change, is actually the bartender's activities. So by default, I just use like the bartender sim, like suggested role that EA has in the list. And the bartender sim role by default will have them tend the bar and also make drinks. And if I were you, I would pick one of the 2 and remove the other one. The difference is that when they tend the bar, that'll have them stand there and then you can order a drink from them like how you would if you went to the bar on a regular bar lot. And if they're set to make drinks, they'll just make drinks and put them out on the bar. I found that I actually preferred to have them just be making the drinks and I could just take whatever. The issue is that I guess you can't choose what your sim is drinking, you kind of just have to take what they give you. But I think that it was kind of overriding itself. Like I would try to order a drink at the bar and then they'd be like, oops, I'm making a drink already. And so I kept thinking they were gonna make my drink, but it was just a random drink instead of my own. So I don't think that you should have them both on. Technically, when you download this, they will both be on. But I didn't really realize that it was as annoying until after I had played with it for a few days, and then I was like, okay, this is enough. We should just pick one. I think there's issues with a lot of the default roles that come with the pack. Like, they have all those suggested roles that you could use, and there's things that I would change about every single one of them. Same as they have the staff one that just cleans and doesn't repair objects. Why isn't repair objects on there by default? So I kept adding that to my builds. Yeah, I would just remove one of the 2 drink things so they don't override each other. Otherwise, everything works perfectly fine with this lot. That's like the only sort of hiccup that I encountered, and it isn't really that big of a deal. I think I was just kind of annoyed by it, so I wanted to mention it. And by the way, you just saw me really quickly throw together that like athletic pool area. At first, I was thinking about putting it in the very front of the lot and having like 2 pools next to each other, but that was weird, so I shoved it in the back corner. And now we're kind of reaching a point where I was starting to get worried about how I was gonna lay out the rest of the space because I knew I wanted to have hot tubs still and I didn't really know where I was gonna want to put them. We have one that goes right on this center of the main pool area, and then it was kind of big, so it was hard to think about where else they might go and where they might make sense. I considered putting hot tubs attached to every single one of the buildings as well because all of these private hotel rooms would be super nice if they had their own hot tub, but I decided that functionally I think that might be kind of annoying because if I'm gonna stay on this resort, one of the things that I like about it is that all of the other Sims are also there, so it's busy and there are people around at all times. I want to be able to see the people around. And if I had 8 hot tubs on this lot and 8 Sims that were staying here, if I put use hot tubs as one of the lot requirements, they're all gonna go to different hot tubs and it's not gonna look busy anymore. It won't look like a full, usable, functional space. It'll look empty. So I wanted to sort of limit the number of hot tubs I had so that there's still enough where there's a bunch around, but there aren't like 8 around. Instead, there's 3, which I think is a more reasonable number. There was a time also where I was thinking about trying to make the hot tub look like it was built into the pool a little bit, but I think it kind of looked weird there too. I feel like for this shape of the pool, it being built in didn't really fit, but I'm definitely gonna use that sunken hot tub to make built-in pool hot tub things. And then I started working on this. This is gonna be the little stage area outside. At first, I had a very small one kind of shoved in the corner. We're actually gonna end up rotating it around, so it's gonna flip to the other side and be a little bit bigger in the end. But with anything in The Sims, it's very much trial and error to try and figure out how we want it to look. So trust the process, it gets there. But it's basically this sort of vibe where I have some tables facing it, There's a piano, there's some different musical instruments. And then I found this fence. It's just a base game fence, but it was like the perfect stone color to go up against the stone flooring that I had. So I used that to trim out the edges everywhere, and I think this made a world of a difference. I feel like all of a sudden it looks like so fancy and built in and custom. I sometimes struggle with flooring being placed just on the ground because it looks so flat and like 2D, but when I added in the fence, everything changed. I thought it looked so much better like this. I was really happy with it. I also put in some side staircases too, so there's just kind of some things around the whole area. And I think now is when I start rotating the stage space. So on the left, it's still gonna be there just a different way. We'll have the stage, and then on the right side, we're gonna have fire pits, is kind of what I ended up doing in the end. Because obviously the fire pit is like a major part of this hotel. That's one of the main activities they do. So I have a bonfire and then 2 smaller fire pits out there. So there's just a lot of fire happening at this place. But it feels appropriate also for a glamping space. Like, of course there's gonna be fire. You're gonna be like roasting marshmallows and stuff probably. And now at this point, I think you can kind of see the whole layout figured out. We've kind of got everything sorted now. It's funny because when I do builds like this, it's a giant lot, right? Half the battle is just trying to figure out where stuff is gonna go. I've barely placed any furniture this entire time, but we've already spent half the speed build. And it's just because so much of it is just figuring things out. It's like this beginning is the planning phase, and then the furnishing goes a lot quicker because I've got 8 cabins that are all pretty much exactly the same. Even like the staff bedrooms are all very similar to each other, so that part goes a lot quicker, but this was hard. The planning was hard. At this point, I still also hadn't figured out where I was gonna put the extra hot tubs. I was trying everything, and what I ended up settling on in the end was putting a deck on the far side. So like the opposite side from the second pool. I've got a little deck over here, and we're gonna have the hot tubs up there. So it's kind of nice because there's like some outdoor seating and then also the hot tubs just outside of the dining room area. So if you wanted to come have breakfast, you could like eat outside, you could sit in the hot tub afterward. It's all kind of attached right there to one of the main guest areas. And then it's also raised up, so it helps add some more dimension, I think, to the lot. I kind of feel like it needed that. So I was pretty happy with this as a concept. There's a little bit of it that's covered, but most of the hot tub space is just out. Anyway, I guess now is probably a good time for a little bit of a life update because I tend to drop those into my speed builds from time to time. I guess the big thing this week is that I'm going to TwitchCon. I don't leave until Thursday, but TwitchCon is next weekend. I'm going to San Diego for it again. I have been to every US TwitchCon since 2017, which kind of scared me when I thought about it the other day. But I like going to TwitchCon, it's really fun. Mostly I like to see my friends because a lot of my friends will go to TwitchCon as well. So I'm feeling really excited about it, but I'm also reaching that point where I start to get really nervous about it. I feel like that's just like a normal experience with cons though. Anytime you're prepping to go to like a really busy, crowded space, it's like kind of anxiety inducing. At least it is for me. I don't know about you. So now that we're getting closer to TwitchCon, I feel like my anxiety is growing, but I am looking forward to it. And if you're gonna be there, maybe I will see you around. I do have a meet and greet on the Saturday. I don't know if my meet and greet is like full or not. At least when I'm posting this, I'm not sure what's changed. But if you're gonna be at TwitchCon, you do have to register for all of the meet and greets. You can just do it in the app and like pre-sign up. I don't think it's full, but I don't know. Maybe check just in case if you're gonna be there. But yeah, I'm kind of just in that like prep phase. I'm like packing and picking out what I'm gonna wear to the convention days and doing all that stuff right now. I'm also doing a little bit of pre-recording obviously, so I'll still be posting on YouTube when I'm gone because I always post on YouTube. So don't worry about that. This is also the first time that I'm going somewhere since we started having to give Snap the IV twice a week. If you missed my video last week, I talked about it a little bit, but my cat Snap has kidney disease. She's had it for a few years, but she's just getting really old, and so it's getting worse and stuff. And now we give her fluids twice a week at home. Like literally I have an IV for my cat that I've been doing twice a week, which has been quite an adjustment. But I usually give her the fluids on Mondays and Thursdays, and I'm leaving on Thursday, and I usually do it at nighttime, but I'm like trying to decide if I should do it in the morning, like super early before I go, or if I should try and teach my sister how to do it. And I'm thinking that like I probably should teach my sister how to do it, but then also I'll do it. I feel like because my sister always cat sits for us, she needs to know how to do it, but I think in this particular case, she doesn't need to do it this time. Like I can still do it. And I think it's best if like we can avoid her doing it if we can. Like I just think it's easier for everybody involved. It's kind of a 2-person job as well. Like you might not think so, but there's a level of like somebody needs to be in charge of the actual IV bag and stuff, and then the other person kind of has to distract the cat and be on like cat distraction duty. And you need multiple hands. It's like a 4-hand kind of situation. So anyway, I don't know. It's been quite the adjustment. And it takes like 3 or 4 minutes, which sounds really quick, but when you're trying to like keep your cat still and have like a needle in them for 3 to 4 minutes, it doesn't feel that quick when it's happening. So I don't know. Anyway, if any of your cats have had to have fluids at home and you've got words of wisdom or anything, I guess we kind of have a handle on it, so I don't really need advice or anything like that, but sometimes it's just nice to talk it out. So if you've got any feelings, let me know in the comments, because it's nice to hear from people who have to do it as well. It's a lot more common than you might think, because actually 1 in 3 cats will get kidney disease in their life, I think is the statistic. A lot of domestic cats just don't drink enough water. Like, they kind of have a hard time with that, and even if they do, their kidneys they tend to outlive their kidneys, basically. So I had known this and like heard it from people, and I sort of knew when Snap got diagnosed a couple of years ago that this was kind of like coming down the pipeline eventually. But when I started talking about it on my Twitch stream, I mean, seriously, there were like dozens of people in the chat that were like, oh yeah, I do that to my cat, no big deal. Well, actually a lot of them were like, yeah, I did that to my cat previously, and those cats are no longer with us because, you know, kidney disease, and this is kind of like a late stage sort of situation, having to give them an IV at home. So anyway, yeah, it's but a lot of people, I know a lot of people who have also done this, and that's been reassuring to me, basically. Let's talk about something else. So right now I'm starting to do the landscaping. I think that when we got to this point, once I started putting in the plants, this completely changed everything, because I was really worried about it. At first, it like felt like it was looking weird and kind of empty. Having these plants made it look a lot more like foresty almost. All of a sudden it came together so much more. So I'm using only debugged plants from Adventure Awaits. This is kind of a good exercise in testing how the debug works from this pack, but it's got this kind of cool like low-lying leafy thing that is very similar to the one from Jungle Adventure. There's a few like bushes, there's some little flowers, there's a couple special trees and like palm tree stuff from the pack, so I use those around. And I cut out a lot of the landscaping. I did landscape the entire lot, but when you find out how long it took me, I think I spent like an hour and a half in real life doing the landscaping. But obviously it's a big lot. It's like enormous. So everywhere you look, there's plants, and it took me quite a bit of time to place them all. But it just looks like this, but everywhere, basically. And now we're starting to do the interior of the first of the cabins. The first thing I did was put some of those canvas, like rolled up curtains on all of the windows, both inside and outside. And I know it might be kind of weird to have it outside too, but I'm really trying to make this look like a tent. That was the goal. I did think about using just like cabin stuff and making it look more cabin-y, but I haven't used the tent wallpaper yet, and I don't really foresee myself using it again, just because it's kind of hard to make this work. It's a little bit strange, not in a bad way, but it's just very specific, I guess. So I was trying to use it here, and so I put the rolled up things to make it really embrace the tent vibes. I have a bed in the middle, we have a fireplace, which might be kind of weird in the tent, but it does happen. I was looking it up. There are a lot of tents that are like safe to have fire inside, apparently, I guess. I don't go camping, but that's what the internet said. This is one of them. It's safe, don't worry. There's sort of like a storage closet thing. There's just like a chair and a little side table, and then we also have the bathroom, of course, attached to it. And I built this same exact cabin 4 times. So I have this one repeated a couple times throughout the lot, and then there's a second version that's different colors. That's basically the same layout, just different swatches, and I repeated that one throughout this world a few times too. This one's kind of green and the other one's kind of red. I'll do that one in just a second. The bathrooms are nice because they've got a shower, a tub, and double sinks. It's very like honeymoon suite kind of vibes, I think, at least. I don't know if having stone floor in here is weird or not, but again, I'm committed to it. It's like a tent, in air quotes, I guess you could say. Also, the bathrooms have windows that face directly into each other. Like if you're standing there in the shower, the other person is also standing there in the shower and you're just staring at each other, it's okay. In real life, you could close the curtains. In The Sims, you can't really do that, but we can play pretend. We can play pretend. Also, all of them have their own separate little front porch thing, so I kind of did a different vibe for every single one of the front porches. They've got a mixture of like armchairs, maybe like a little table outside. They're all kind of looking a little bit different. And this is what I mean by that second variant. So it's literally the exact same thing, just mirrored a little bit and then different colors. The main inspo here was the fish rug. I used that fish rug and I took it and I ran with it. So I matched everything else to it. And then the last thing I added into these was I went through and I put some fish on the walls. Just one mounted fish. So I didn't go overboard, but I thought it was nice to have just one fish in a few different places. And then I copy and pasted this room across to the other side too. I even picked fish that matched the style of the room. So the green ones have a bass and the red ones have a salmon. So it all kind of blends together. And now we're going back into the main building and we're gonna start working on the gym. So this is like the first public space interior that we're working on. I wasn't super sure if I wanted to decorate it like a spin bike class or if I wanted to have all kinds of different gym equipment, because the spin bike class is new with the pack, but there's also other gym stuff that I wanted to use. And I feel like if I did a class, it would be only the class. So I scratched that idea. We've got 2 spin bikes, there's weights, there's 2 treadmills, and then there's like the classic weight thing from the base game as well. This is the room that you can go through to access the pool that's outside. So you can get to that like diving board pool from here also. There's a TV in here. And then Adventure Awaits has a couple of really nice paintings that are like sporty, fitnessy, almost like gym posters. They match perfectly. The wood color is what I've been using everywhere, so I use those in a couple of areas too. I wasn't sure if I wanted to have mirrors or if I wanted to have a TV, so I kind of went back and forth on that. I knew I wanted to have music, so I've got a little table with a radio in here, and that's kind of the extent of what I did for this gym. It's really not very big, but I think it packs a punch. It's got all the things that you could ever possibly need if you were going to stay here. And I didn't even include gym activities as stuff on the default version of the schedule, but obviously like the schedule and then what you choose to do can be different, because the schedule is sort of there to help dictate other Sims behavior, and your Sim will autonomously follow it also. Like at breakfast time, they will go and eat and the chef will cook, but if you wanted to skip breakfast and go and work out, you can do whatever you want if you're playing on this lot. You don't have to do just the scheduled stuff. So it's nice to have some extras basically. And then this is kind of the lobby area. So I decorated it by putting a couch and some seating in here. I got a lot of questions about this rug. People were curious if it was like 3 rugs together. It's actually just 1 rug. There's 2 rugs that come in Adventure Awaits. There's one that's just a regular rectangle with a few special swatches, kind of like a normal rug. And then there's more of like a jute style woven rug. That's what this one is. It's got 4 swatches that are all totally different. So we have, oh no, it's 5 swatches. There's like a bear rug, there's the fish rug from earlier, there's kind of like a wilderness scene, that like swirly one that's just beige that I have in this room, that's the same rug. And then also this one with the 3 round, almost like targets, like archery targets, that's just 1 rug, but I sized it up. So this one in here is larger than it's supposed to be. I put some artwork on the walls. Most of the interior walls are all wooden. I really liked the vibe of that, so I used them mostly everywhere. We have a bookshelf in the very back, and then I ended up actually getting rid of those big windows across that whole back wall, and I just have them on the sides, and then I put a fireplace in the middle because I think it's nice to have a fireplace. I feel like if you're gonna come to a big lodge like this, it makes sense to have a fireplace and like sit in the lobby with the fire. I kind of had a hard time putting the furniture back there because it's a little bit weird with the columns. I liked having the columns because I think it looks nice when you look at the place as a whole, but it did make furnishing difficult because they're kind of in the way. And then the last thing down here is we have just a couple of desks in this area. So I put a couple computers. You don't really need those here either, but I feel like sometimes in hotels they'll have a printer that you can access and like stuff like that in the lobby. So that's kind of what I was channeling. And I was just picturing myself if I was gonna play here and like actually stay at this hotel for like 3 or 4 days, my Sims might need a computer. So I wanted to have one. I actually cut out most of the upstairs furnishing from this build because it was very long and it's kind of like the same stuff as this, but I'll show you a tour at the end where you can see the full finished product. Upstairs there's a couple extras like a games table, and then it's open to the downstairs, so those columns support the upstairs area. Over here on the left, this is like the kitchen and the dining space. So we've got a couple of big tables and almost like a breakfast buffet in this area. I wasn't really sure how to lay out the tables because I've built a couple hotels now with this pack. The first one was kind of more of a bed and breakfast. This one is definitely a lot bigger. And in that one, I had a few round tables in the breakfast room. In this one, I chose to use 2 big long tables. I think in real life, you probably don't want to eat breakfast with the other guests. Like having a big table is probably kind of a nuisance, but in The Sims, I think it's okay. Plus, this is kind of more of like a group retreat. It's less like a solo vacation and more of like a big thing we're all doing together. So I think it's okay to have that. I also put some things like a hot chocolate tray and a blender on those counters back there because I'm kind of picturing it being like the breakfast bar almost. Because sometimes in real life at a hotel like this, they might have like a continental breakfast laid out for you. That's where that would go if this were real life. safe. And then we also, of course, have a fully functional kitchen with like the fridge, the stove, all those things so that the chef can cook in here. But with that, we are just about done with the speed build portion of this video. Again, there are a few things that I did not include in the speed build. I cut out the balconies and I cut out the upstairs. And the bathrooms. I left out the bathrooms too. So I'll make sure I show you those kind of in detail in the tour because I want to show you around everything so you can get a better idea. I know it's hard because it's like sped up so fast and the watermark's probably blocking stuff for you. Hopefully it's not that bad. I feel like having watched this back again now, the watermark isn't actually as noticeable as I feel like it is when I'm recording it. Hopefully you can like tune it out once you get used to it being there. Again, hopefully. But let's pop back into the game and I will show you around a little bit. This is that full finished product of the hotel. It is very large. I called it the Gibbi Point Luxury Resort. It's also already on my gallery, same name. It costs 335,000 simoleons, and if you stay here, I think it was like 750 a night to participate in a getaway on this lot. So that is pretty expensive, but it's comparable to the cost of renting a home, like a vacation rental, and it makes sense that it would be pricey because it is supposed to be fancy, right? And of course, it only has the one pack, it's just Adventure Awaits. So let's pretend that we're a guest and we'll do the tour sort of in that order. You're gonna spawn in right here, and then you're probably gonna go and choose which building you want to stay in. If I were you, I would probably choose either this one or this one because they're closer to the main building. So you might like have your sim walk up and then come and choose this door as their own. Problem number one is that there's two doors. So I would probably just assign the bed as yours. I wouldn't bother locking the door or anything. I would pick the bed. Maybe they need to pee real quick so you can use the toilet. This is kind of an overview of what the bedrooms look like. They're not very fancy, but they're cozy. And that's kind of the energy I was trying to achieve. This is what the other one looks like. Here's kind of a close up of the green style. It looks a little bit like this. And then it just repeats again, red and then green. So they're all the same. And then after you check in, you might decide, you know what? I'm gonna go for a swim. So you could walk out over here and you could hang out by the pool a little bit. At this main pool, we have a bunch of lounge chairs outside. There's a hot tub, there's a slide, and then we also have that bar. This might concern you, but don't worry, the Sims can get around it, I promise. I spent a whole vacation here, so I know it works. And that's kind of like that custom little fake pool bar that I built. And then maybe after you go for a swim, you decide that you want to go back in and have dinner. So you're gonna walk into the main building. Oh my God. Okay, the gallery comes with plantains, I guess. I didn't realize I left those there. That's okay. You're gonna walk in, you're gonna say hi to the receptionist maybe, and you'll come this way, you'll probably take a seat. Meanwhile, the chef is cooking away. Oh, it comes with chili. How did I not notice? Okay, so you could grab some chili, you'll eat it at this table. If you wanted to, you could eat it outside at one of these outdoor tables and go for an extra swim in the hot tub over here. You could also decide to shoot some arrows. I really struggled with archery because I wanted to put it in, but then there wasn't enough space, which sounds silly because the lot is so big, but like there wasn't enough space. So I kind of just tucked some extra archery back here, but it is there if you want it. And then after dinner, maybe you come all the way back across the lot and you decide you're gonna come hang out by the fire because I've got a couple small fire pits. There are some benches in case you wanted to stargaze. I know the townies love to do that. You could use the bonfire, and then the entertainer will hang out up here and they'll play the instruments and stuff so you could watch the live entertainment. And then you probably just go back to bed. And then maybe the next morning you want to go hang out in the gym. So we have this gym space in here. You could use the treadmill, lift some weights, go for a swim, practice your diving out here, go send an email, maybe like sit by the fire for a little bit. But that's sort of an overview of the full public space. When you go upstairs, the rest of this is also kind of public space. I did put a little TV and a video game console. Oh no, it is there. It's just hidden. Okay, there's a TV and a video game console up here. I also put a couple of games tables so you could play cards. There's an extra fire pit. There's an extra grill and some more seating up here on this big balcony. And then these 4 rooms are supposed to be the staff rooms. I guess if you wanted to, you could choose this as your bed as well. But sort of the vision was that these would be the staff rooms. So they're kind of all the same, just different colors. We have like a bunk bed set, there's a desk and like a little chest, and they're all different color themes. And then these 2 bathrooms on either side are kind of supposed to be staff bathrooms. But that's the whole build. She is ginormous, but she is complete. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. I really had fun making this. This to me felt like a dream come true because, as you know, I have built stuff like this before. Basically this exact same concept. I once built a really giant ski resort building that was very much like this, laid out similarly, just you know, different stuff because it was supposed to be a ski resort. And I've been dreaming of being able to use that for real. And I think that with the getaways, you could use that for real. I'm excited to have honeymoons on this lot. I think it's gonna be kind of fun. So anyway, I think with that, I'm gonna wrap this one up right here. If you wanna download it, it is on my gallery and it is actually attainable because it doesn't have a million packs. Let me know if you've got any other types of resorts that you wanna see me do. I'm very interested to try and do a beach resort in Sulani, and I think I might do another ski resort in Mount Komorebi now that we have the pack. But if there are other things, like if you wanna see an alien resort, I don't know, you can think wacky. Let me know in the comments down below, and I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow. Okay, bye everybody. I also once built a cruise ship, and I think I might make one of those again too. It took me like 2 weeks, but I might do it again because I'm so excited about the concept.